Let me preface this story with this. While I was an imaginative child at the time of the story, I grew up at the age of 6, the difference between imaginary and reality. I had imaginary friends growing up as an only child, but I knew they were just that, imaginary. When I was 6 years old, my mother and I lived in the house that was much bigger than the two of us needed. We called it the big house, and still call it that to this day when talking about our time there. It was a 3-story house. The first floor was comprised of the kitchen, dining room, and living room. The second floor was 3 bedrooms and a bathroom, and the third floor was just one large room. That was my room. It doubled as a bedroom and a playroom because of the size. My room had 2 little cubby doors. One open to a small storage space, the other my mom could never get to open. It had a small oval knob and a keyhole, like one of those keyholes that were meant for one of those skeleton keys that you would find. This is relevant later on in the story. I was not only an only child, but I also had no neighborhood kids to play with. No cousins or family friends. Nobody. I blame this on the fact why I'm still socially awkward, but I digress. Up until this particularly sunny day, there had not been any unusual activity in the big house. I'm now 33, and yet the memory of that day is still so clear. I had just got my first ceramic tea set. The set was a creamy white with a delicate pink flower hand painted on each piece of the set, even the tiny spoons. I had gathered my 2 favorite childhood toys, a rag doll named Rattle and a bear with a clown hat named Snuffy. I had snuck down to the bathroom and filled the teapot with water, and I was fixing to have my first official tea party. I sat in front of the window where the sunbeams land on the floor. It was fall, and the spot where the sunbeam hit was always the warmest. I'd been playing with Snuffy and Rattle for about 10 minutes when I realized while looking down at the tea set, across from me were a pair of light blue shoes. It happened gradually. It's not like they popped into existence. It's more like when you're looking somewhere else so your brain just doesn't register what you're looking at right away. Like that. As I looked up, I saw a girl. She was about my age with copper hair and a knee-length blue dress with lace around the neck and hemline. She wore a silver locket around her neck and the blue shoes I'd first seen. For some reason, I wasn't scared. I just asked if she wanted to have some tea. She nodded and sat in front of me. It's only years later that I fully realized she made absolutely no noise doing so. I don't know how long we played. She never spoke, and just nodded her head or shook her head. The only noise she made was a peal of laughter. It was after this laughter that I heard my mother open the door at the foot of my stairs. She called, "What are you doing up there? I can hear you squealing all the way down in the kitchen." When my mother had opened the door, I jumped and looked over my shoulder towards the door. When I turned back to look, the girl was gone. Her teacup still full. Snuffy had fallen over, but nothing else had moved. "Just playing with my tea set, Mama," I called down the stairs, still staring at the empty space in front of me. Again, I was more confused than I was scared. That is, until I heard a squeaking hinge come from behind me. I whipped around, looking for the sound, and there it was. The door to the cubby that I'd watched my mother trying to open for hours was finally open. It was open just an inch. That's it, an inch. I sat where I was for what felt like an hour just staring at it. Part of me was waiting for a monster to come out. It felt weird. My little mind couldn't figure out what had happened. I debated yelling for my mom, but I thought maybe I should just cry. Finally, I gathered the courage to slowly walk towards the little cubby door. Inside was a very tiny space, maybe 3 feet by 3 feet and 4 feet high. There were some old newspapers and debris from years of being untouched. Then, I saw a small ring on the floor. Not one you wear, but like an old door knocker. I pulled it. As it opened, I heard something slide across the hatch. Once the hatch was open, I looked down into the little door. I was looking down into my bathroom linen closet. I laughed. Even at 6, I realized I'd been spooked by a cubby that just had a secret door to the bathroom. As I was looking down, I heard my mother come into the bathroom, so I waited for her to pass the closet and I yelled, "Boo!" I swear she almost fainted. She opened the closet and started, "You little," but she trailed off. From above, I watched her looking all around the lower shelves of the closet, which made me giggle. She looked up in surprise. This caused me to slam my little hatch closed. As it closed, I saw what had slid off the hatch. It was a silver locket. Moments after I'd closed the hatch, my mom was running up the stairs yelling my name. She asked me how I'd opened it, so I told her what I told all of you. I remember the dumbfounded look she had at the end as I held up the silver locket, slightly tarnished and covered in dust. After all that weird stuff happened all that time in that house, we would wake up in the morning with every kitchen cabinet open, the water turned on. We thought it was her. We also heard faraway sounding giggles. The washer started with no one near it. Nothing that bothered my mom though, strangely. I kept the necklace until I lost it in the 5th grade, and I never saw that girl again. I'd seen the other one apparition, ghost, spirit, or whatever you want to call them, but I only saw that one in the basement the same month we moved. My mother and I lived in the house alone, keep that in mind. I wanted to blow bubbles and the giant jug of bubbles was kept in the basement stairs. I went to go get it, and when I bent down to grab them, I could see our washer and dryer. Standing in front of them was a tall, balding man with black hair, a half unbuttoned plaid shirt, and what appeared to me was black dress pants. When I saw him, he looked at me directly, and then he disappeared. I have a few weird stories from the big house. Maybe I'll share them later, but until then, these are the ones that probably creep me out the most. Part of me thinks that house was something that I should have looked more deeply into. In my old age, I feel like maybe I should have checked out the blueprints or if anyone had passed away here. But it really didn't matter at this point. What I remembered is what I remembered. What bothered me the most is that girl never came back. And I kinda wonder and think to myself all the time, why did she join me in that moment? What was so special about me? What was so special about this house? And what was she doing here in the first place? Did she die in there? I'm not too sure, and I don't think I'll ever find out. But to know that my mom wasn't bothered by any of it is kind of alarming. Those spirits would just lay in wait and watch us as we did our day-to-day activities. All the other stories I have are kind of similar as my past ones, but anytime I do see a spirit in that house, I do wonder to myself, are they here to help me, or are they here to hurt me? I've never really wanted to go back to the big house, and you can tell why just from my past tales. As time passes, I do think of it often, and I often think of what those things were in there. I never really believed in ghosts, but ever since living in that house and in that home for that long period of time, I do. I guess the best message I can give to those who don't believe, or to those who have never experienced anything that's on a different level from the normal world, you'll know what it is when you see it. And even if you do see it, nobody will believe you.